This is a 190 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff attorney, Mr. Warner, capital W-A-R-N-E-R. Defense attorney, Mr. Palm, capital P-A-L-M. And we'll start with plaintiff attorney. Ready? Here we go. Could you identify other law enforcement agencies that were involved in this investigation? Of course, Cal County Sheriff's Department, DCI, Dade County Sheriff's Department, Dade Police Department, Three Rivers Police Department, some smaller police departments in Cal County, New Holstein, I think Brill, I think Kiel, Willow County Sheriff's Department with a dive team, Brown County Sheriff's Department helped in a way, I'm not real sure what way that was at this time. FBI was helped with technical assistance, Martin Sheriff's Department. That's just the law enforcement agencies. Yes. Were there other support groups that helped? Yes. Name some of those if you can recall. Other fire departments, volunteer fire departments from both Cal County and Dade County. Great Lakes Search and Rescue would be an example of who we just heard from. Wrecker Services, Implement Dealerships, Citizen Search Groups, Pilot's Eye. I think I could go on for a little while yet, but I can't think of them. I guess my question, Agent North, in the over 25 years of experience that you have had, mostly in homicide investigations, have you been involved in an investigation with this many groups and this many resources being assigned to one case? No, sir, I have not. You mentioned the Dade County Sheriff's Department's role as lead agent or as one of the two people assigning jobs to allocate all of these resources that we're talking about. Could you describe what Dade's role was thought to be? Yes, it was decided that they would help in the investigation in a support capacity or an assistance capacity. It was their county. They knew the resources. They had the contacts for such things as Wrecker Services, Implement Dealerships, if we needed equipment, and some other things that would have come up, many other things that probably came up during this investigation on scene. Were you able and have you been able to attach a number, that is, how many different people, both the law enforcement and support services, that were involved in this investigation from start until today? A total number. Are you able to do that or not? I can get close day by day, but I have never attached a total number. No. The allocation of the resources, the assignment, your decision to assign certain officers to certain duties, how were those decisions made? Really, it was a group decision as teamwork, and we had two lead investigators on the case, so-called myself and Agent Mark Wilson from the Cal County Sheriff's Department. The sheriff was out there. We had other detectives and agents out there, and what commonly would happen is, like when I got there initially on Saturday, there was a briefing and I was briefed as to what was happening, what had happened. We would get together and make decisions on where we want to go and what we want to do after activities are completed. For example, like at the end of the day, we would have a debriefing session where we would meet and we would talk to the agents, searchers, interviewers, neighborhood canvassers, and try and get a report back on the information that they may have come across or evidence that they may have found, and we digest that, and as a group or as a team we try and decide what do we want to do next, where we want to go with this. The resources that were given to you, again, whether it's law enforcement, for now let's limit it to law enforcement resources. Did officers that were given to you and law enforcement assets that were given to you have different levels or degrees of experience in other law enforcement areas? Yes, yes. It was that factored into your decision on who to assign to what task, most definitely. Can you give some examples? Best example is if we were going to search for evidence, the location of evidence, which may be the collection and review of evidence. I want someone that's trained and experienced in that area to do those searches. In this instance, we had the crime lab there off and on at this scene. We used them to go to some various areas or spots where evidence was found because their people are trained in that area. Are there other, or are you familiar as a law enforcement officer and homicide detective, are you familiar with evidence techs or law enforcement officers that have that special training also? Yes, with most departments, counties, police departments, they have individual officers on their department that have received additional and special training in the collection, review, preservation, etc. of evidence, and those are the types of people that, or officers, excuse me, that we're going to want doing that task. What kind of a case did this start out as? Missing person case. And in those very early stages of this investigation, what was your main goal in the missing persons investigation? Do you understand my question? I imagine the main goal in a missing persons investigation would be to find the missing person. Was that your goal in this case? Yes. Now at some time, and we're going to hear about the first 11 days or so. In fact, we're going to hear about 15 months worth of investigation, but for the first day, the first hours of this investigation, was your goal different than it became throughout the rest of the week? And in fact, for the last 15 months, yes. How was it different? And the fact that we were searching for and hoping to find Don Holt alive. Agent Lowe, decisions that you made in this case, would those decisions and were those decisions in this case different when this was a missing persons or searching for Don alive, and did that change sometime over time? That's a really awkward way of asking that, but are there different decisions that are made when you are looking for a live body rather than being involved in a criminal ongoing investigation? It depends on when you're talking and when I got there, or as opposed to Thursday when she was first reported missing. There's differences when I got there. Even though we were still in a missing persons capacity, I'm taking on a little different light to this, and I'm coming in thinking that something bad had happened, and we do that because we don't want to miss anything. We may get one chance at this, and it's easier to prove or disprove that maybe something bad happened than to go the other way and not have the evidence or the scene to work with. I understand. Let's talk kind of globally or big picture about a search plan. First of all, were you one of the two law enforcement officials that were directing search efforts in this case? Yes. Did you have an overall plan or an overall search plan for not just the first day but the first week of this investigation? I think you can have an outline or an overall search plan to start with, but as I said before, it's fluid. It may change depending on evidence found or information from interviews brought back or neighborhood canvasses, stuff like that. It needs to remain fluid. You can't have that lock and load mentality and say this is what we're going to do. It may change. Let's talk specifically then about your search plan the first day or even the first hours. What was your first search plan or your first plan of attack just after search warrants were obtained from, I think it was Judge Fox in this case? Well, number one, in any investigation, a homicide or death investigation, I should say, is life is first and foremost always. Check for life, find life, and treat it even at the cost of maybe losing evidence. So in this case, it was no different. We needed to see if Dawn is on that property and see if she's alive. So we organize a sweep. Law enforcement officers, we call it a sweep, but just what they are doing is sweeping through the buildings on the property to see if Dawn is in any of the buildings. Along with that is also a concern for officer or other people's safety. That's a second concern on a sweep. Is there anyone else on the property that could be a concern for law enforcement safety? So the sweeps were organized with the law enforcement officers we had present. Is that the first thing that law enforcement does is sweep through these, talking about the homes now? Most always, yes, that's the first thing we do. And what kind of distinction is a sweep versus a search of a property? Well, this property was a little different. On a normal death scene, you are sweeping there to check for life and for safety, and maybe you have to bring EMTs in and other people. A coroner, you can't bring them into that scene unless you know it is safe. All right. The word list. Cal County Sheriff's Department. Cal is capital C-A-L. New word, capital C-O-U-N-T-Y, capital S on sheriffs, capital D on department, and write department out. DCI is all caps, no periods, no spaces, DCI. Dade County, capital D-A-D-E, new word, capital C-O-U-N-T-Y. New Holstein, capital N-E-W, new word, capital H-O-L-S-T-E-I-N. Brill, capital B-R-I-L-L. Keel, capital K-I-E-L. Three Rivers Police Department, capital T-H-R-E-E, new word, capital R-I-V-E-R-S, capital P on Police, capital D on Department, of course, write out Department. Willow County, capital W-I-L-L-O-W, capital C on County. Brown County, capital B-R-O-W-N, capital C on County. Martin Sheriff's Department, capital M-A-R-T-I-N, capital S on Sheriffs, capital D on Department, written out. Great Lakes Search and Rescue, capital G-R-E-A-T, new word, capital L-A-K-E-S, new word, capital S-E-A-R-C-H, new word, small A-N-D, new word, capital R-E-S-C-U-E. Great Lakes Search and Rescue. Agent North, capital A on Agent, North is capital N-O-R-T-H. Dawn Holt, capital D-A-W-N, new word, capital H-O-L-T. Mark Wilson, capital M-A-R-K, new word, capital W-I-L-S-O-N. Agent Lowe, capital A on Agent, new word, capital L-O-W-E. Judge Fox, capital J on Judge, Fox is capital F-O-X. And that will be it for the word list, and that will conclude our 190 Q&A practice test.